All right, guys, can you hear me okay? Are we live? I saw the Nasdaq starting to move a little bit. I thought, we did the late stream last night, which I will upload to the streams archive. Hey, Jose. Yeah, so I'll upload last night's stream to the archives. That was a good stream, and that's why we didn't do the morning today. But since we didn't do the morning today, I saw the market moving here. I thought, well, might as well fire it up for a little end of day stream. So yeah, we'll get going here in just a second. Tell you what I'm seeing. I think overall, getting stuff set up over here. Overall, what I thought was going to happen today on Nasdaq pretty much happened. I mean, super tight range, not really going anywhere. I thought gold would give a better chance last night. It didn't end up coming down to the area I was kind of hoping it would at London Open to buy, but had a nice short on stream because there's a really beautiful pocket into an extension. So you guys will be able to see that on stream. I took that on my Tradify account. So basically what happened with these Tradify accounts, hey Christian. Yeah, it was a good, we had a lot of chit chat in there, just waiting for stuff to happen, but there's always little nuggets there, when we talk about these things. And I think a lot of the little nuggets in terms of just the trading life, trading psychology while we're waiting for trades, I think that sometimes that stuff is probably more important, right? So I think it's good just to, if you guys are out on a hike or a walk, or you're exercising, just to listen to the streams if you didn't make it, and then you're able to pick up a lot of those nuggets. Just give me 1 second. I'm opening up my Tradifies over here. Let's see. So last night, basically these Tradifies were getting pretty close to toast because of that trade I did, whenever that was, a week ago or something, where I made good money on my live account. And then I kind of took bigger risk on these. But basically here, you can see the Tradifies. These are the 550Ks, copy trading. So I made about 3K on each one last night, mostly on Nasdaq. I bought the open at Asia. I wasn't that confident in it, but I didn't have much draw left in these accounts. And I thought, you know what, this thing might start to push up, so I might as well take a shot. And that was the right call. Then I pyramided and added a contract. So I think I made like 2,400 bucks on Nasdaq, and then I made another 500 bucks or so on each account on shorting gold. So that was pretty cool. So, brought these accounts back to life a little bit. Still a pretty high chance I'll blow them because I'm just going to be aggressive. I either need to get them going into profit now soon, or I need to, blow them, reset them, and keep going because time is of the essence also. So today I will just put on some, if I see anything I like on the Nasdaq, I'll just put on some small trades on my one of my smaller live accounts, and it's basically just for some education here, chat with you guys, see what we've got cooking. So right here, you can see we're starting. This is a daily chart. Let me get my my TradingView open so you guys can see your TradingView charts. Can you guys hear me okay? Is the volume good? I'm gonna assume it's good. Yeah, a touch quiet. Okay. I'm on full blast. Maybe I'll put it closer like this. What's up, Adam? How you doing, man? Can you guys hear me now if I speak like that? I'll get the mic situation worked out. My voice is coming back. So yeah, so it's 2:20 p.m. Eastern, and it looks like the Nasdaq wants to kind of push. So that's kind of what I thought would happen. That's why I wasn't really a fan of betting on that pocket for resistance, although there was some resistance here during the day. But now it looks like we're probably going to want to push through to the close is what I'm guessing. I don't know if we're going to go higher than we've gone, but certainly I think the bids are going to be the strong side. So you know, I'll just wait for, see if we can get a couple of good long setups here together as we head into the end of the day. And then I got to go get I got an insurance appointment for the golf cart to get it insured. So I'll take it to the agency and they'll take pictures of it and all that kind of stuff. So that'll be cool. Yeah. So how you guys doing? How's your day? Sound is good? Okay, good. Thanks, Timnasi. How's your guys' day? See, I love, you know, like last night, I felt that I really needed to trade gold, even though I made the money on Nasdaq too at the reopen. But I love that you guys are doing your own thing. Like maybe some days I want to, you know, stream the evening, and maybe some days I'll stream the morning. Maybe, you know, but generally speaking, the morning is where it's at. But those rare days when I want to stream the evening, I love that you guys are still doing your own thing in the morning. I mean, if you want to wake up and trade that, that's fantastic. You know, and you're discussing, I see that you guys are discussing your trades together in the Discord with the analysis that you're using, and it's awesome. I mean, imagine you guys get to the point where you keep getting better and better at the analysis, and then, you know, you guys are talking through the trades, staying out of trouble, picking your spots. I mean, there's huge power in working together, right? So it's really important. Let's make sure we got our drawing tools. Yep. Okay. So a sec here. So yeah, so I don't want to put any more trades on my Tradeifys today because I already made $3,000 on those accounts, and if I make more, it just makes the 20% consistency, you know, that much harder. So I'll just put on, if I see anything I like, I'll just throw on some small trades on one of my smaller live accounts here, just to, you know, just to teach and show you guys how to manage trades, things like that. I just thought that would be beneficial. So. All right, so basically you can see the Nasdaq was in this tight range. This is kind of what I foresaw last night. I mean, this is a pretty, if you guys did well today, great job. If you followed the congestion playbook, then I think you probably did well. But see, it all depends on what time frame you're trading on. Like a lot of people, they don't really care if the daily chart is not clear because they're trading the 1 minute into the 5 minutes. So why do they care about the daily? And I get that. And if that's your cup of tea, then that's great. For me, if the daily's not clear and I think there's going to be a tight range, I'm just not interested. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be trading setups there. It just means that I want to find something else to take advantage of. So, you know, that's kind of the way that I do it. But you guys are all going to find your own way to do it, and many of you are already finding your own ways to do that. So here, what we can see, the type of trading right now is technically congestion on the 50,000 volume chart here for Nasdaq. We are congesting. All we did here is expand the congestion range from the old highs here up to this high here. So this is congestion expansion. We've still got the low of the congestion zone here. So kind of a wide congestion zone here. The question is, do I expect price to break out to the upside into the close? Who do we have reporting today after the close? I know it's a big earnings week. So depending who's reporting, you know, this thing may want to goose to the upside into the close. It's possible, but this market looks like it's going to be bid. So, you know, I wouldn't necessarily right here. We could continue to push up off of this, but I would wait for something, you know, back down in here and then get going. Right here, the 10,000 chart is trending to the upside. Yeah, you got a little bit of a pullback here, definitely. But, you know, the pullback, you got to ask yourself, well, where is this pullback? You know, well, it's into that true average and the DML, the core DML below us. So there could be some support here, but it's, you know, it's not a place where I would be looking to go long just yet. And I also wouldn't want to go short because this could be strong. So I just, you know, wait. Let me make sure that I'm turning. Let's see. Let me make sure that I'm right. Okay. Yeah, we're testing the server for Sierra charts for you guys. So we're running into some firewall issues as we fetch the data, but we're getting there. We've got the, I'm looking at the message log over here for Sierra charts. So we're at least getting close. You can see here. So this is how we're trying to fetch. We've got the DLL file. We're trying to fetch the data from the server, but we're getting some errors. We think it's some kind of a firewall error. So my developer is working on that. He's got COVID, but he's still working on it while he has COVID. Good guy. Yeah. So that's where we're at with Sierra. We're getting very, very close. Okay, so Adam, I saw Visa for today, but tomorrow we're getting Microsoft and Meta. Okay, nice. And that's tomorrow after the close, right? And then Friday's Amazon, Apple, and Thursday, Apple and Amazon after the close. Yeah. Okay, cool. So see how that goes. How's everybody else doing? Good? So you see like this kind of a trade here, you know, you want to buy, this kind of thing and, risk a little to make, 20 points or whatever it is, you can do that. I'm just looking for, bigger cycles. That's kind of how I'd like to do it. So I typically like to take it from, one side of the range back to the other side of the range. And therefore I miss out on a lot of these smaller trades, but that's just because that's not my main style. But a lot of you guys are really getting good at getting down into the smaller time frames, which is great. If that's your way to go, that's your way to go. Oh, hey Dave, good to see you. How you doing? Are you? Let us know if you have any questions. Dave is new here, guys, and he just started yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see how, if things make sense to you, because you're also relatively new in the futures space, right, Dave? I think that's what you mentioned. Brand new. Okay, yeah. Well, we have another guy, Darren. He's probably, I don't know, Darren's probably sleeping now. He has a strange work schedule, like night shifts and things. But Darren was also new, and he just stumbled upon VolPro Edge, and he's already gotten his first, I want to say, I think 2 payouts from Top Step, and he's brand new. So that's pretty darn cool. And I got to say though, he has really, really applied himself and studied a lot. So, but it does go to show that if you do study and you apply yourself, just because you're brand new doesn't mean that you can't start experiencing some success. I actually think being brand new is helpful because you don't have a lot of the baggage that a lot of other people that have been, messing around with other things for 5 years, and then they finally find something that's good, but then it's hard to let go of all that baggage. So I think being brand new can be an asset. Just let me know if you have any questions, Dave, or anybody else. So, do you guys look, if you want to take some more smaller scalpy type trades, I'll do that for you on, small size if you think that'll be helpful for you to learn. Right now I've got my typical 50,000 contract chart here. I've got the 10,000 here. So I can switch this up and say, let's go, 20,000 into 4,000. That'll make things move a little faster. There'll be more trades. It's not something I normally do, but if I win or lose a couple $100, but I teach you guys some things, then maybe that'll be helpful. So let me go ahead and, because you guys already know how I trade. You know that, like, I'm waiting for bigger moves into key daily levels. If I'm not clear on the daily, I really don't do a lot, but that also varies depending on what prop firm I'm using. Like last night, the Nasdaq trade, it wasn't one that I recommended, but for me, I kind of had a gut feeling. My tradeifys were close to getting blown out, and I thought I could go long and get lucky and make a little money here, and I did. I brought those up 3 grand. So that's why it's so hard to, everybody kind of wants to model somebody else's trading. And I think that modeling somebody else's trading is the worst thing in the world to do, because you're not going to be able to do it, right? Because everybody's going to have their own way of wanting to do things. Risk tolerance is going to be different. Their experience level is going to be different. Their budget is going to be different. How like that, I guess that gets back to risk tolerance, but so there's so many different variables at stake that's why I'm with VolPro Edge. I started it deliberately in this way, that my goal is to help you guys become the best traders you can be. I make money trading. That's not going to stop. This is what I do, but that doesn't do you guys any good, right? What does you guys good is me teaching you how to fish so you can develop your own style and start making money on your own, so that even if, God forbid, something were to happen to me one day, you guys got VolPro Edge, you're able to keep using it and keep making money. So that's why I think VolPro Edge is different than any other, you know, thing you see out there, right? Because you see a lot of YouTube channels, most of them are trader-tainers, right? And they're not, you know, whether or not they're really good traders, I'm not going to be the judge of that. But certainly, do they have something that's replicatable, teachable, that you can create other successful traders? No, I don't see anything else like that out there. And that's the point of VolPro Edge. And so far, my vision of that is coming to play here, because we do have a lot of people using it now to get payouts and get going. So, you know, what I wanted it to be is happening. That's the studies. Let's go here. Let's see. I want to go chart settings. So I'll go ahead and take the volume setting down so we can, you know, take a few more trades for you guys. Let's go 20,000. Boom. So yeah, Sierra charts is done. It's now just, we've got to get this issue with the server fetching the data, but we're there. It's just, you know, you got to work through it. When we're trying to deploy something, there's always these little hiccups, but we're there, which is awesome. So you can see we just changed this to 20,000, and you see how it changes, right? It changes the speed at which things happen. So I like to use the 50,000 volume chart on Nasdaq because it just keeps you out of a lot of noise. The lower the time frame you go, you know, the more losses you're going to take, and that's okay. But you really don't want to, you know, get into the minutia too much, right? Because that mentally it's harder to trade on lower time frames, right? My door just magically opens, but I can go down to 20,000 for you guys, and then here we'll go to the 4,000. I always do divisible by 5. So this is 4,000 right here. So the 4,000 is the lower time period chart here, and this will go into the 20,000, right? So just to give you an idea of how, you know, you guys can set up your trading, like right here on the 4,000. Do you see there's more trades here? Like if you want to play this congestion range here, you know, look, you got an extension right there at the envelope top. That could be a short. You could write it down here. That could be a long. You could write it up there. You know, that's not a pattern, but that's a nice short right into that pocket. That looks like the gold short I took last night. I made $500 on each one of the Tradify accounts. So when I upload that stream to the archives, the gold stream from last night that I did till about 2 in the morning, my time, you'll see this is a very similar pattern that I took. So it's just all about recognizing how these patterns repeat again and again and again. And then you take it and you do what you know works best for you in terms of I guess once Sierra charts is ready, I think volume-based charts do get better reads. But TradingView with the 5-minute, the 15-minute, the hourly, that's totally fine too. I mean, we've got a lot of people doing really well with the minute-based chart. So the volume-based charts, this is just a preference of mine, and soon you guys will at least have that option to trade on volume as well, which is going to be really cool. I can actually show you that that gold trade. And you when Sierra is ready, guys, you'll get all my charts, so you can just, you know, download the workspaces and you'll be off and running. So Miyagi, Christian, yeah, lucky, no bad habits to break. Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. If you can get a good if you can get into a good group of people from the start where you can learn good habits from the start, David, that's going to help you tremendously, because a lot of what I do is, number one, trying to help people break all the bad habits that they've accumulated. And then from there, then you have a cleaner foundation from which to work. But when you're new, you're starting with that clean foundation, which is fantastic. So yeah, so gold last night, it was shockingly quiet. I thought there would be a little bit more volatility in gold. So I was looking, because the way I like to do things is trade into the daily, you know, key levels. So down here about 3,300 is where we've got a really nice confluence of DMLs, dynamic market levels. You got the envelope bottom down there on gold on the daily chart. You got the VolPro reaction support level. So you got all these key support levels, you know, congregating right there at 3,300 for gold. It's not just because it's a round number, but in this case, being at a round number makes it even stronger. And so I was kind of hoping here, this is why I stayed up, because I thought if this thing tries to dump down here and give me a little bit of a flash for a reversal, this could be a nice opportunity to get long and push back up to the middle of the envelope, you know, not all in one bar like that, but, you know, get long like that and then start pushing back up here. And then you catch a $35 move or a $40 move on gold, you know, that's 3,500 bucks or $4,000 per contract, right? So that's why I wanted to stay up for that, because I thought that would be a better opportunity than Nasdaq today. But as we could see, the night was getting late. London had opened and I was getting tired and there wasn't really a whole heck of a lot going on. So then what I did is I saw, let's see what, I think it was here. Yeah, it was here basically. I saw this push up right there and we were in this nice pocket, and then we had all these extension dynamic market level resistance points all stacked coming across here. So I just threw on a quick short, one contract on each of the Tradeifys, and then it, you know, I took profit. I held it for a bit. I wanted to see if it could, you know, crack through this and head down here. That would have been a really nice winner. But then when I saw the support coming in here, I took my profit right around here for, you know, like 500 bucks each, $5 an ounce on gold. And, you know, that was just a good example of like, okay, well, my real trade for the day was waiting for price to go back down to that daily support level. It didn't do that. But that doesn't mean there aren't tons of really good patterns in here for those of you that want to just sit and pick off these shorter moves. You can do that. It's just that you've got to have the mental capital to take a lot more losses. And although I do have that mental capital, it's just I've been around this game so long, I don't muck around with, you know, in, out. But there's a lot of you that'll be really good at that. I mean, Rafa, scalper, you know, he's doing phenomenally well, and he's just getting in, getting out. I think, Christian, you're doing the same thing, right? You're kind of, we have a lot of people that scalp well, and that's great. I mean, I've never been a fan of scalping, but that doesn't mean you can't do it if you don't want to. Anyway, so that was last night on gold, but it was shockingly quiet. Yeah, so Miyagi, he scalps a lot too. Yeah, that's cool. You got to do what floats your boat. And then it also depends on what your schedule is. You know, if you've got a busy life with family, kids, work, all that, then you can swing trade. You can just put on trades, you know, at the end of every day when the market reopens, and just let them go for 24 hours and come back and check and say, how did I do? Right? So there's infinite ways to cut the cookie. All right, so here on the 20,000, you know, we're speeding it up here, and you can see we're in a nice trend run now on the 20,000. We're above the daily value area high, so you know we're kind of we're seeing if we can find more balance up in here. And the daily did look bullish, as I said last night in the end of day analysis. I said, look, it's not like a gift to trade, but it does look bullish. And that's kind of what ended up happening. But I thought we'd have a choppy New York Open, and we did. We've had some pretty choppy opens lately. I mean, it is what it is. The market cycles like this. So you can see here on the 20,000 chart, we've traded about 10,500 contracts. So that means we got about 9,500 contracts left until this bar here closes. Right now, we're in a nice trend. So if we were to get a pullback in this trend, you know, that could be an opportunity to buy, you know, if it pulls back down into a pocket, because this is how I use VolPro Edge. I'm always trying to anticipate, like, okay, like where would I be willing to take action? What type of playbook trade would it be? You know, we've got all of our rules for all that stuff. What kind of a pattern would I want to see? And then I just kind of wait for that to develop. And then, okay, it does or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, I'm on to the next thing. And I'm always just thinking through, you know, where I could see myself taking a trade. So right now with the 20,000 chart pushing higher, and we've got our definition for a trend run here underway, trend run to the upside. It's like, okay, well, you know, if we got to pull back on the 20,000, we'd be interested in taking that. Or maybe the 20,000 here is just going to keep pushing. Well, then we'd be looking for a pullback and a trend run here on the 4,000 chart. And so that's kind of what I'm waiting for. Just a good pattern. Like right here, we weren't on the 4,000 yet, but that's a nice little flush exhaust. And look, when you got that right there flushing down, you're right at the extension support DML, dynamic market level, that's support, that's holding because it's below price. You've got this core DML right here. So that's a support zone right there. That's a good bet, especially when you're trending on the 20,000. Okay, now you pull back to the congestion support level here, and you got a nice, you know, flash here. You got the extension DML support. So, you know, these are the kind of things that you're looking for. Does that make sense, guys? I know for those of you who are, you've already taken the course, you're going through the archives and all that, it makes sense. But I know sometimes there'll be people here who aren't in the Discord and they have no idea what any of this stuff is. So I'm trying to help them kind of, you know, catch up as well. Because VolPro Edge is amazing once you really start to understand what's going on. But I understand it looks a little bit alien, you know, if you're coming from bear flags and bull flags and candlesticks. All right, so we got a little bit of volatility coming in here, which is nice. And you'll see, you know, when you get down into the 4,000, you know, it's jumping around a lot more, right? Because it's a microscope. You're going in on a smaller time frame. That's why personally, when I trade, I'll use the 10,000 contract, which is much slower, into the 50,000 contract as my higher time period. You know, that's much slower, because that's my number one priority as a trader, is to mitigate mistakes. I'm always looking to not be an idiot. That's my number one priority, is don't do stupid things. And as long as I do that, and I wait and I wait and I wait, the winners come. And I never think about how often they're coming or whatever. I just know that at the end of the month, you know, if you're patient and you get rid of a lot of your stupid trades, your losing trades, the winners will be there. And suddenly your equity curve will start going like this, you know, instead of, you know, like this. So this is what's so important. People think it's about like finding more winning trades. No, if you have a system that works, the winning trades will come. The key is to stay out of the bad trades. And then a lot of that is connected to psychology, right? People are going to get, you know, they make you one bad habit, one bad trade begets another one. And then it spirals into, you know, revenge trading and feeling crappy. And then when you know, your emotions are all screwed up. Guys, it's the psychology of trading and how that funnels into over trading. The two are connected like nothing else. That's why I trade the way I do. And I advise people to, if you're succeeding with very low time frames, then that's fantastic. But if you're not, you guys, the number one thing you can do to help yourself is pull back your time frames, and your odds for success will go up because your chance of taking dumb trades will go down, right? Are you guys picking up what I'm laying down here? All right, so we got a little bit of a flush coming here on the 4,000 contract Nasdaq bar. Yeah, Jose, mitigating the losses. And you guys know, those of you who have been here for, I mean, we've had 35 to 40 people that have been here for a solid month now. And the number one thing I get from people is like, okay, I'm learning VolPro Edge. Yeah, it works. That's awesome. But also I'm learning to be way more patient and way more selective in my trading. And that's helping like you wouldn't believe. Like that's the feedback I get. And that's good, because that's what I'm trying to teach you guys. All right. So you can see that the 20,000 contract is going to close in about 6,000 contracts here. So if we were going to get some kind of a pullback down here in this trend, I'll take a stab and go long. It really just depends on where we think we're going. If we look at our TradingView charts here, where do we think we're going? I mean, I kind of feel like you're going to be pretty well supported. I don't see this market closing back down in here. I don't. So therefore I'm willing to, you know, take a long if it sets up. So we'll see what happens. Because it looks to me like on the weekly chart here, guys, we want to go test that core DML, the yellow one right there. And that's right at 20,000, right? So where's 20,000 over here? It's up here. So how's the daily going to get up there? Well, maybe you'll have this close looking something like this for today. Then you got big earnings coming out, and then maybe that's what's going to set up, you know, the push like that up to that extension DML right there. That'll give you the flash. that's right into the weekly core resistance DML. And then maybe that's when the market starts to kind of roll over a little bit out of that core DML resistance right there, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Doesn't mean that it will happen that way, but that's just my sense of it based on what's going on now. So, you know, are we going to squeeze up into the close today? I mean, I have no idea. But it at least looks like it wants to be pretty well supported. And I'll let you know, guys, if I'm just going to trade small size to teach so you can see, like, if I take a trade, it's okay, I'm in, here's my stop. Okay, I'm going to cut this one, guys, because, you know, this is what I'm seeing. So a lot of people have said you want to see more of that kind of stuff. Well, then I can just do that on very small size to teach you. So right now, you're pulling back into this pocket right here. And, you know, there's probably going to be some support here, I would say, and it might push back up here. I won't buy it because the original congestion support zone is down here on the 4,000, right? And we're breaking that extension. So it doesn't mean it won't pick up support here and push up. It just means I won't be taking it. Because I got to ask myself on the 20,000 here, where do I like support? I mean, since I don't think this is going to be a runaway squeeze market, right? You know, you guys can make notes of this. In a runaway market, that especially squeezing, right? The shorts are trapped and you just get this trend run that's skipping along. It'll skip along on top of the true averages here, the beige. It'll skip on those and keep going. But I don't expect that today, right now, the last, you know, hour and 10 minutes. So I would be looking for more of a decent little pullback, you know, to the middle of the envelope, something like that. Maybe a failed congestion entrance down attempt. Look to buy something down here. And I always do support in blue, guys, like where I think support could be. I always do resistance in red. So that's why my VolPro reaction resistance levels are red. The support levels are blue. And then you got the dynamic market levels, which are all these dots, which are, if they're above you, you don't need to know much about them other than if they're above you, they are key resistance levels. And if they're below you, they're key support levels. And then there's different ways to use the different color coded dynamic market levels, which is, you know, why we have the pink ones, the red ones, and the yellow ones. Okay. So there's that close. There's a nice pocket, right? So there could be some support here, but we close below these dynamic market levels. So that means that they're resistance. So you don't want to go long. You don't want to buy here when you've got resistance here above you, right? And you've got this above you. So you want to try and buy when you've got these key levels below you. And does that mean it always works? Of course not. But does it mean it gives you good probabilities? Yes. All right, so now we're getting the pullback in the 20,000. And we have to see where we're at on the daily here. So you've got basically the key daily level you'd want to look to pull back to, you know, is the envelope top, which is that broken core DML at 19,558. You know, the way I like to trade. I'm not saying I'm going to do that right now, but that's how I like to do things. I like to say, okay, well, where's a key daily level that I can lean against for my trade? That's how I like to trade. So that level here would be 19,558, which would be, you know, all the way down here. Let's see, is that right? I think it is right. Let's check. Yeah, 19,558 right in here. I'd be surprised if we get all the way back down there, but we might. But I won't say that, hey, I'm not going to take a trade unless we get all the way back down there. If this even pulls back here and we have a nice little setup, then I'll probably give it a shot. But definitely right now I'm favoring the long side because the market looks like it wants to close stronger. So, and the way I like to structure the trades too is that, you know, with the volume charts, you can get really good reads. So like if you go in here you know that, you know, this extension here, like that's got to hold. So your stop is just back here. So if that starts to fail, you just bail, right? Just get out. Whereas then if it holds and you're correct, you target the other side of the envelope because this is your congestion playbook, right? And we're in congestion, boom, boom. If you think it's going to go back up, stay in congestion, your target's up in here, right? Or like the gold short I took last night, my target was the other side of the envelope for gold, but you could see support was coming in and it wouldn't let it get there. So I pulled it off and booked the $500 on each one of those Tradifys, right? So this is where the nuances of trading comes in. Everybody wants a like a cookie cutter, but it doesn't really work that way. So that's important to know. All right, so we got power hour starting in about 7 minutes. Hang out for a bit, see if we can get some couple of good little short-term trades. Got my standing desk. I like to, that's another thing too, guys. If you feel yourself getting sleepy while you trade or, you know, you lose focus or whatever, I can't tell you how much it's helped me to have standing desks. Ever since I had a standing desk, which now has been several years, like when I'm watching the screens, like I'm able to, you know, get my physical energy out, right? By moving around, bouncing around. That actually keeps me very, very calm and grounded while I'm trading, believe it or not. Whereas if I'm sitting in a chair, hunched over, staring at a screen, all that energy gets you know, bundled up, right? And then it can come out by making stupid trading decisions. So you should also try these little things, like try a standing desk if you haven't tried a standing desk yet. It's awesome. So I just use my guest bedroom as my office. So, you know, when my wife and my child need to sleep, you know, in the other bedroom, then I need to stay up late trading Asia sometimes, you know, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. You know, I got my computer here. I can put a trade on and kind of like pass out and then keep an eye. And I got my standing desk here high up above the bed. So, you know, all these little things do matter. I think standing desks are key. How many of you use standing desks right now? Anybody? Have a sip of water while we wait. So we're going to get a close here on the 20,000 contract chart right here. So that means 20,000 Nasdaq contracts have traded for each one of these bars. Boom, there's your close, right? So you look at this, well, this trend now is starting to show a sign of weakness. Why? Well, because by our rules, we're moving from outside the envelope to inside the envelope. So, you know, that daily support zone we talked about, that broken DML is down here. So that's kind of where I would be looking, you know, to see if we get a nice little pullback down here, confirmation on the lower time period, and then try to get a long to push back up here. Because if I'm going to take that trade, guys, I mean, look, it's such a tight range today. Yeah, we might blast up from here, fine. But like, even if we were to pull back down here to 19,620, I mean, writing it back up here to 680, yeah, then you get 60 points, right? And I'm going to take at least 20 points of risk. So if I'm going to take 20 points of risk, you know, I want to try to make, you know, get in an area where I think it has the possibility to go, you know, at least 40 points in my direction, but 50, 60 is nicer. So that's also how I try to, you know, pick my spots. It's based on, okay, is this spot that I'm thinking about picking to go long or short, whatever the case may be, is that giving me the potential to get the amount of reward on the trade that I need to justify the risk that I'm taking, right? These are really important things to think about. Let's see. Hey, Ralph, what's up, buddy? Congestion with only true average and mid DMLs and reaction line in the way to the upside. But I agree with you on the upside power hour. Yeah, I think it's, I mean, my feeling is that we're going to be bid into the end of the day, but I'll look at your hourly real quick, Ralph. Let's go look at the hourly. All right. Yeah, it's congesting, but it's, you know, yeah, the way it's expanding here. By the way, notice this, guys. This is really, really important and really subtle. You see the VolPro reaction support level down here? When that hourly closed right there, you guys see this, right? Section 1, section 2, section 3. That's a flash down here, which makes this resistance much more likely to break because this flash is strong. It's driving price up, right? So that's super important. So yeah, I'd be looking for a lot of support down in here. Let's go back to Sierra. So Adam, AB, I might try it out though now once you set it. Been watching, so let me see. So back to Ralph. Check the hourly. I'm seeing congestion with only the true average and mid DMLs and reaction line the way to the upside, short side. But so what were you thinking about a short? I mean, it might not be a bad short. Again, it just really depends on how much risk you're going to take. What's your profit objective? You know, these are all the flies in the ointment, the things you got to think through on each trade. Yeah, it could definitely dump 40 points. I always say to myself, okay, well, I'll wait for the dump and try to get long because I think the daily is more bullish, right? But doesn't mean I'm always right. It's just that I'm typically more right on the overall direction of the market than wrong. So then that adds that little extra layer of probability to my trades if I try to trade on what I perceive to be the strong side of the market based on the daily chart, especially for that day. But then also, you know, you have in mind what the weekly is doing, what the monthly is doing, all those kinds of things. So you got over here, I mean, if you look at the weekly right now, I think we're headed, and you'll see the data is a little different for Sierra charts versus our TradingView indicators. And that's just because they all use, they collect their volume data differently, a little bit differently, each charting platform. So that's why the indicators look a little different, but the levels are important on both of them. But you can see on Sierra, I think we're headed up here to that core DML on the weekly 20,000, which is the same as on TradingView. So let's see if we can get a little bit of a flush down here to maybe grab a long. I like this extension down here. You know, bang. And for those of you just joining us, you know I usually use the 50,000 volume chart, but I sped it up and changed this to 20,000 contracts, you know, just to see if I can get a couple trades in for you guys. Not be as picky as I usually am. But full disclosure, if I lose a couple $100, dinner's on you guys, okay? All right, let's see the comments here. So congestion orderly early in the day. Orderly. Yeah, exactly. It's not really orderly. Exactly, Ralph. Jose, yeah, unless it gets weak. Right now, that's the way I've been doing things. Follow the hourly, but I forgot the daily. Yeah, that's, guys, what Ralph just said, that's so important. Follow the hourly, but really try to take those setups, those playbook setups that I'm teaching you guys, try and take those into key, at least daily zones. And if you want higher probabilities, take them into where daily and weekly zones match up. So what's cool about, so there's a little flash, guys, right there. You see that flash on the 4,000? There could definitely be some support here. I'm not going to take it because we're right at the value area high of the day, and I'm just going to be a little more. I'd rather get something down here closer to that daily support level. But you'll see how the flash here does have a, you know, for scalpers out there, right? I'm not a scalper, but you'll see that flash, boom, it has an effect on price. You know, we're pushing up. But see, the reason I don't take that is because, you know, even if we go from 50 back up, you know, it's like, how much reward am I going to get on this? I don't know, you know. But there'll be some of you that become, you know, experts on taking these flashes on volume-based charts, and then you'll just scalp and get your 10 points or whatever it is, and you'll be done. That's great. Yeah, so you got to trade into those key levels, Ralph, for sure. So Adam, AB, we had a really good flash setup at the 9 a.m. candle. 1 hour was live, flashing up huge, and 15 almost confirmed, so not take it. But on the 1 hour live, it looks so good coming into the daily support level. Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah, do that, because those are the trades you guys want to take. And then when you have Sierra, guys, it's going to be way easier because you can put your daily levels perfectly overlaid onto your intraday charts. And then that way you can see, like, oh, on my 20,000 volume chart, you know, there's a perfect exhaust for a reversal, and then boom, your daily levels will just be right there. And you're like, okay, is this pattern that I'm seeing on my 20,000 contract chart, is it happening into a key daily level or weekly level? Yes, it is. Okay, bang, I'm taking that trade, right? So it just gives a lot more options in terms of how to chart with the volume charts and overlaying the daily, weekly data. I mean, you can put whatever you want. You can put the monthly, the quarterly. So that'll be cool for you guys. And as soon as the developer's done working on it, he gets the deployment issue resolved, then, you know, I'll do a tutorial and put in the Discord on how to set up your Sierra charts, how to overlay the daily, weekly data onto these charts, how to have your footprint. I'll give you a copy of my workspace so you have it, and then you can just change the time setting. If you want minute charts, you can do that. If you want to have volume-based charts like I like, I'll tell you my formula for how you know, the reason I use 50,000 contracts on the Nasdaq as my higher time period is because the Nasdaq, you know, I don't know about lately, but, you know, let's say it trades, you know, 1,000,000 contracts a day, something like 800,000, whatever it is now, right? I don't have the exact number, but then I like to make my higher time period volume-based chart kind of similar to what an hourly chart would be, but based on volume. So, right, so that's going to change for each market, right? Silver, you know, my higher time period volume-based chart is usually only like 2,000 contracts or 2,500 contracts because silver is a much thinner market. There's not as many contracts traded, right? So you guys understand how I do that, right? And I may, at some point, somebody in the members area will create a spreadsheet like, hey guys, if you're trading, you know, gold, you know, consider this for your higher time period volume chart, this for your lower. So, you know, these are the things we're working on. All right, so I'm just looking to see if this can flush down here, because I think we'd have a lot of support down here in this extension. You got these old highs here. That's the old high of the congestion resistance zone here before we broke out. I think there'll be some support here based on what we're seeing on the daily. So that'd be where I'd be willing to take a shot if it got down there. Yeah, spreadsheet will be needed for sure, Jose. Somebody will get on that. You know, just we're only a month into the VolPro Edge project, right? Which is awesome. We're off to such a good start for only a month, and you know, it's just going to get better and better month after month as, you know, Sierra charts is released. Then we'll have NinjaTrader released. We already have TradingView, and then once my developer is done developing and deploying for Sierra charts and NinjaTrader, then I'm going to get back to putting him to work on the algos I was working on for myself before I even started VolPro Edge. Right, that's my next big thing, and then I'll release those algos to you guys. You guys will tell me what ideas you have for algos, and you know, so the community is going to grow like that. It's going to be awesome. And then eventually, like I said, the live trading room, you know, we're going to have like Ralph on ES. You're going to have Adam on, you know, whatever he wants. You can have Aaron on crude. You can have somebody else who's really good on gold. And then we're not going to be sitting here watching one market. We're going to have a bunch of different guys who know VolPro Edge really well going, hey, look, come over to gold right now. There's a really good setup, you know, so that's going to be cool. But these are the things that we're building towards. So right now you can see, guys, check this out on the 4,000 contract chart, right? So you see all these extension DMLs stacked down here. It's important when you see a bunch of them in an area like this. That's a key support level. Where's that coming in? 19,620. Well, okay, look, you got the extension right there, similar level on the higher time period, right? So what I would be looking for is an exhaust, some kind of a flush down here at some point, you know, try and suck in some shorts into my support levels, and then I would try to get long because I have very low risk for a potential to move back up here. And then you can also see once, if you're right and you see the market start moving quickly in your direction, you can get a quick add-on and capitalize even more on your winners. So, you know, that's important. So let's see if we can get a good little opportunity here. The last 55 minutes of the day. And then that's why I think it's good as you start to understand the methodology better, right? The system I'm teaching you with the playbook and, you know, the patterns, types of trading, the multiple time period analysis, all this stuff. Then you're going to get much better at using that to anticipate, like I'm anticipating now, right? You see how I'm not reacting to the market. I'm planning and I'm coming in structured. I'm not like the market's moving and I'm like, you know, the market's like got me on a leash, like jerking me all over the place. That's not how I trade, and that's how most people trade. So there's a big move right there, 307. So probably a Trump tweet or some early earnings. Does that happen? Early earnings leak? I remember big earnings week, so you're going to see some pretty big power hour volatility this week. But yeah, Christian, you can tell us. Christian's our news guy. He's always posts. All right, guys, that was a Trump tweet. Let us know, Christian, what that was. DK England, hi, first time here. Cool, man, welcome. Or woman, man or woman. I just call everybody guys. Welcome. Nice to have you here. Are you in England? If so, it's getting late there, right? What is it? Probably, let's see, 3 Eastern. What's that mean? 8 o'clock at night in the UK, something like that? 7 o'clock maybe? Adam, you're in Iceland. What time is it? Are you the same? Are you GMT with the UK, Adam? So what I'll do is I'll wait for this 20,000 to get down here, see where it closes. And look, we've only traded 12,600 contracts, so we still have, 7,500 contracts left to go. So then that's also, I recommend waiting for the bars to close, because that's how you get your anchor, right? It anchors your decision making. Female, South Carolina. Okay, cool. Welcome. Nice to have you here. So South Carolina, that's East Coast. Yeah. I'm in Costa Rica, so it's 2 hours behind East Coast time. So it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon here. 1:09. Adam, it's 19. Okay, 1 hour difference. The summer's, yeah, summer winter time. Well, we had the same thing. That's why here in Costa Rica, it was 1 hour difference, and then New York changed their clocks, and we didn't for whatever reason. I don't know. So then it made it 2 hours. So it's like, oh man, I got to get up an hour earlier every day. And believe me, that hour between like 5 and 6 a.m. versus 6 and 7 a.m. Like that's a big hour. I'm looking forward to New York changing the clocks back again, so we can have our 1 hour difference. But today I'm a little tired. I slept in because I did that gold night stream. I was up probably till 3 o'clock my time, something like that. But sometimes, you just get a feeling where looking at the end of day analysis through all the markets, you're like, you know what? I think there's going to be a better opportunity in Asia heading into London. And then you just, when you do this full time, you got to rearrange your schedule and take advantage of that. That's how I like to do it. All right. So that's what we're waiting for here. Let me know if anybody has any questions. And DK England, if you can always rewind the stream a little bit and then come forward with a 2 times speed. And I try to explain a lot of the dots and lines and the weird stuff you're seeing, which is VolPro Edge. I try to explain that in a way that, because most of the people here, like, they have these charts, they're learning the system, they know it, but I know that there are some people that come that don't have it. So I try to, from time to time, like explain a little bit of what this stuff is, so that people who are new here aren't completely lost. I promise it looks weird, but once you start to understand it, it's actually, to me, it's way easier to read than a candlestick chart with bull flags and bear flags. And everybody at our Discord, you guys know how much I love bull flags and bear flags. Nice with some water. It's hot and humid here in Costa Rica. It's typically about, I don't know, 90 degrees daytime high with 100 million% humidity. Jesse Chappis, who lives in Costa Rica. No, I don't. Is he a trader also? That'd be cool to meet another trader down here. All right, so you can see we're still trending here on the 20,000 contract bar chart, but we're moving inside the envelope. Well, we're trying to, and we're just gonna have to see. I'm definitely not looking for shorts now heading into the close because of what I've already said. I'm bullish on the daily chart for today and the weekly chart. I think wants to get up to that weekly dynamic resistance level at 20,000. I think we're on our way up there right now. I mean, not right this second, but you know, the next 24, 48 hours, something like that. So that makes me just, you know, look for longs instead of shorts. And that doesn't mean there aren't like a lot of good short-term shorts, right? But it's just not the way I trade. I like to trade in the direction of what I think the daily and the weekly charts are doing, because that just gives you higher probabilities. Oh, a doctor. Okay, cool. No, I'll check him out. Is he like an alternative doctor? I like those kind of doctors. My wife and I are, you know, more on that side of the fence, the alternative side. We love good healthcare, but only like to go to the hospital or something, you know, when if you get like an acute thing and you need, you know, some kind of a surgery, God forbid, or something like that. But in terms of like actual health, we kind of believe in. I don't think the Western system is very good at preventative healthcare. I think they're better at like fixing acute problems, like when you get in a car crash or something. All right, so we've got, and you guys know, so I always make this, you know, divisible. So this chart here, 20,000, then you divide by 5, and then that's why this chart is 4,000, because 5 of these bars make up one of these bars. And that's how we get our multiple time period analysis. Oh yeah, Ralph. Yeah, exactly. No, totally. Yeah. There's a lot more money in sickness than there is in health, unfortunately. And it's too bad that it's all based on the profit margins of these huge companies. I gotta be careful what I say on YouTube. Look at this volatility. All right, what's going on? Trump's there again. He's like, all right, guys. Yeah, it is a sad truth. All right, so let's see if we get this flush. See, pretty choppy. I mean, one thing the way I like to trade too is I do not like to go in the middle of ranges ever. So I'm always looking for, you know, something that sneaks out of the range and gives me a reversal like an exhaust. So, you know, if this was to, you know, give a big exhaust down here into all these pink dots, which are extension dynamic market levels, they're support levels, they're key, and they're also right there into that one right there in the higher time period, then boom, when it sucks people in like that, I love to try and buy that for the push back up like that. Not always, but that's reversals are what I like, because I feel they give me the best risk to reward. Because if you're wrong, you know you're wrong like immediately, right? So I'll have a stop, but oftentimes, like if I get in right away, I can see I'm wrong. Boom, I just cut it, right? Because you'll know pretty quickly when you pick the right spot whether you're wrong or right. So let's see, these are both going to close here shortly, about 1,000 contracts. They'll both close. We'll see if this pushes down. So the 20,000's trying to go for congestion entrance to the downside, but based on the daily, I think the day wants to finish up here. So if we try to flush to the downside, you know, if it's at the right spot, I'd be interested in just taking a little bit of a long, just to have a little fun here at the end of the day, see what happens. No big size, just something small and fun. You know, pay for dinner or something. Speaking of paying for dinner, guys, Costa Rica is not cheap. Everybody's like, oh, you live in Costa Rica, it's so cheap. Like, no, man, I'm from LA. Costa Rica is more expensive than LA. I'm not even joking. My best friend, my college roommate is visiting me from Huntington Beach. He's like, dude, Costa Rica is more expensive than Huntington Beach. I'm like, I know, it's crazy. It's it's nuts. I mean, I feel bad for the people, you know, from here living here. I mean, the salaries aren't high, but the expenses are high. So let's see if we get that little. I would like this to develop into a pocket. So I'm going to look for down here. I'm going to watch this core DML closely into that extension. This is where you can use the extension behind you. You know, that's a key level. I'm not just going to, you know, go in willy-nilly, but I want to see if price goes to this level here, how does it respond? Do I get a pattern down here? Something like a flash for a reversal back up? And yeah, then I'd be interested in taking that. And it's like, oh, well, what if it just goes up here without me? I don't care. That's one of my strengths as a trader, is that I really, if I'm not, I stalk my trades. I have my reasons. If it goes without me, I don't care. So it's about 3:18 Eastern. Another 40 minutes till the market closes, 42 minutes. And for those of you just joining us, normally I would be on a 10,000 contract lower time period and a 50,000 contract higher time period, because I think if you're struggling with your trading, you should pull your time frame out. It's going to make life a lot easier on you. A lot of people, like, there are some people, and we've got some, you know, in our Discord group, who are really good scalpers. It's a gift, and if you can do it, you can do very well. But the majority of people, you know, the first thing when they're like, okay, I'm not really finding consistent results, the first thing I want to try and understand is, what time frames are you trading on? Let's get you out of the lower time frames into the higher time frames, because that's going to slow down your mistakes. If you start slowing down your mistakes, then you're going to, you know, be on that path towards improvement much faster, because those lower time period charts will suck you into mistakes faster than the higher time period charts, right? So I say all that because right now I'm on the 4,000 into the 20,000. This is just to see if we can find a setup for you guys at the end of the day. But for my own trading, I would never be on a 4,000 into a 20,000. I'd be on a 10,000 contract into a 50,000 contract bar chart. Because for me, that's the perfect balance for the Nasdaq. I love the 50,000 contract as my higher time period intraday chart, and then I divide that by 5, 10,000. So like gold, I use 20,000, and so this is my gold. I use 20,000 and 4,000 normally, right? Because there aren't as many contracts traded on gold. Whereas the Nasdaq 50,000 and 10,000 seems to work pretty well. So let's see if we can get, you know, you can see these live DMLs, dynamic market levels, these live ones out here. They're still developing based on the price action, but right there, they are important right now. That one's locked. That's important because that's the current bar. The one behind us is locked. That's still important. So you got a lot of these stacking up here, right? So we'll see. It's a key level, right? If the lower time period also confirms that level, then you could get, you know, a nice move back up off those levels. I mean, our key daily level, which is what I like to trade into, is down into that broken daily, you know, let's say on TradingView that the level's a little different, but on Sierra here, you know, it's 626, something like that. You got the broken reaction resistance level 626. So 626 is yeah, look, that's kind of right in our zone here, 626. So yeah, I wouldn't mind that level, because I don't think the daily is gonna reverse into the close, is my feeling about it. Let me know if you guys got any questions. Oh, sorry, David. My bad, dude. Andy, you missed my question. Lo siento, David. Could you go through why you took that long on NQ? Just curious, since we closed below that daily core. Oh, you mean the one I took? No pasa nada. Gracias. You know, you mean the one that I took last night at the Asian Open? Why I took it? That one? Where I made like 2,500 bucks on each one of the Tradeifys? Yeah. I mean, honestly, man, that was more of a, like, I just felt like the markets were going to continue to grind higher. based on the end of day analysis that I posted. And that's what I said. I said, look, I'm not nuts about anything right now. I think it's going to be choppy, but I do think you're going to continue to grind higher, right? So I just kind of, those Tradify accounts were pretty close to getting smoked. And I just thought, you know, I could get lucky and catch a little bit of a runner here into Asia. So I just said, what the heck? And I put on, you know, one contract on all 5 accounts. And then I also set a pyramid ad at a breakout through, I want to say it was 540 or something. I can't remember the level, but to add the second one, and I targeted the highs. So I just put the trade on because it was more, I thought we were going to grind up. And that was also just like experience, intuition. And so I put the trade on, and then I just went to dinner with my buddy who's visiting me. And then I was just checking my phone through dinner. He's like, dude, you got to stop checking your phone. I'm like, yeah, man, but I got a trade on here. I got to check this thing. Anyways, I saw it was going well over dinner. So that's why I put that on, David. But it was more of an intuitive type trade. I've been watching these markets for so long that sometimes you just, you know, get a feeling. And if my feeling is in the right direction of my end of day analysis that I post for you guys every day, you know, like I think, okay, this market, I think it's just going to keep grinding up here. And then my analysis also said that, okay, yeah, I mean, I think the bullish side is the slightly more favorable side, and I'll take that. Yeah, you do get it with experience, you know, it's, I've been staring at these things for a long time. So with time, you, not only do you learn how to read the markets better, but you also get those, I don't know what to call it, but it's like a gut feeling. And I'm getting better at acting on my gut feeling. Cause you know, it's got to be a really solid thing. Otherwise you'd be like, oh, I think the market's going up, I might as well buy. And you're like, you get smoked. Oh, it's going down, I'm going to sell. Like, this is real gut feelings based on a lot of experience. But you could see, you know, we almost went down to that level here. It's like, okay, well, it's going up now without me. You know, do I care? No, because I like to trade into my key levels because they work really well. Those were my levels. You know, we didn't get there. We still might, but even if now it starts to go up, that you guys who have been with me for the last month now, you can at least see that way more often than not, we're on the right side of the market, right? That is going to keep you out of so much trouble. I mean, just being on the right side of the market. But I mean, go look at your 5-minute, those of you who use candlesticks and things, go look at your 5-minute charts. I mean, this is a disaster. We're in a tight range. What's the range here? It's 40 to 70. No, I mean, it was just the fact. Okay, we're coming back down here now. It was just the fact, David, that I thought we were a little bit bullish, and I just kind of thought, what the heck, you know? And then that's also too, like, I was explaining this earlier in the stream that it's really hard to copy somebody else's trading. Like, that's why with VolPro Edge, I love that you guys are using it and I'm helping you develop your own style, right? Because I said it before, but it bears repeating. Everybody has their own personality traits, their strengths and weaknesses, their experience levels, their risk tolerance, their budget. How much can you afford to spend on evals every month? You know, if you spend a bunch on evals, are you damn confident in your ability to get those payouts and get that money back and get your ROI? Like all that shit, all that thinking goes into how I trade, right? So that's why how I trade will never ever be how you trade or the next person trades. And that's what's cool about what we're doing here with VolPro Edge, is that you guys are learning to use what I've developed for myself to develop my way of trading, and now you guys are developing your way of trading, right? Does that make sense? Because I think that's super important. All the other YouTubers, I think they're the trader-tainers. I love them. They're funny. No beef. These guys they crack me up, right? With their Lamborghinis and stuff. But they're like leading people down this path. They're like, hey, just, you know, look, I'm doing bull flags and bear flags. And if you do this, it's like, we're all so different that it takes time to develop your own way of doing this, right? I mean, you got to have a good technical system, which thankfully we have, but then you've also got to, you know, learn how to apply it in your way. And I know I harp on this constantly, but it's because no one else is talking about it. And it's the most important thing. And like I tell everybody that comes in, like I told David yesterday, not you, David, another David. I said that this is a marathon, not a sprint, because that's what it is. And everybody wants to, sprint before they've even learned how to crawl. Like, just slow down, learn it step by step, start to develop your own approach, right? And then over time, you'll do better. You'll make more. Start focusing, like, number one, on not losing money. How do you do that? You make better decisions. You stop making stupid trading decisions. Get a lot of your dumb losses out of the way. That's going to help you tremendously, right? So if you do that and focus on not losing in the beginning and just getting good and careful and developing your system, then the next step is like, okay, how can you make $1,000 a month? Okay, and then once you can do that for a few months, whatever, how do you make a few grand a month? You gotta step it like this. But everybody that comes into trading, because we can do it from our PJs at our house, they just want to step right in, like, all right, I'm quitting my job. I'm going to make 20 grand a month. It's going to be sweet. I'm going to go live in Costa Rica. It doesn't work that way. It's a long process. Like any other worthwhile venture, where you can make this kind of money from your home anywhere in the world. I mean, guys, trading is zero sum, right? It's like we're all vying for that piece of the pie. And I do think that's why the failure rate is so high. It's not because people aren't intelligent. People are very intelligent. It's because they don't take the right systematic approach to getting better, day by day, week by week. And guys, 20 years ago, I was the same way, guys. So I'm not like, casting aspersions. I was like that as well. In the beginning, I was like, all right, I'm going to be a millionaire like next week, when I was in my early 20s and I started all this. And I had to go through the same process, the emotional growth, like learning. It's a developmental process. So if you're going through that, you're not alone. We all do, but just know that the sooner you can start treating it, as a marathon and as a process-based thing to get better a little by little, week by week. Don't focus on, it's our natural tendency to want to focus on, how much money we're going to make and what we're going to buy and all that kind of crap. Whereas if that's what'll keep you from getting there. Whereas if you focus on the process of getting better, one day you'll just be there, and then you'll be a consistently profitable trader, able to live off of your trading. But you won't get there unless you really focus on the process, right? I hope that makes sense to you guys. I know it can sound like a little bit, hippy dippy, wacky dacky, but I think you know what I mean. So far, I mean, I'm waiting for my setup, guys, but it's just a lot of chop here. So we'll just hang out and watch it chop. Ben Vanderscher, I do understand. Okay, cool. Glad to hear that, Ben. Where are you located? We got people from all over. We got Adam in Iceland. We got David in España. Y Valencia, see, David? I think Valencia, who finally got his power back on. Congratulations, David. Oh, Netherlands, nice. Hoi. The one Dutch word I know is Liebeheersbecher. I think that's how you say it. Liebeheersbecher. Is that right? I'm sure my accent sucks, but it means ladybug, I think, in Dutch. And hoi. Hoi is hello, I think. Maybe goodbye also. Hoi. I can read Dutch, but that's just because of my Swedish. Just like can read a lot of German as well, because all those languages up there are so connected. Danish, Norwegian, they're pretty easy for Swedes to read. Liebeheersbecher. Yeah, exactly. Ladybug, that's right. That's because one of my best friends in the world, she's like family to us, and she's Dutch. So I told her one day, I'm like, just tell me like the coolest Dutch word. And she just thought about it, and she was like, Liebeheersbecher. So that was cool. Good to have you here, man. And if you're new to all this VolPro Edge, the dots and lines and whatever, you know, if you just rewind the video and play it forward 2 times speed, I do explain a lot of it, you know? Oh yeah, there's definitely manipulation for sure. I mean, every time Trump does a tweet that drives the market one way or the other, there's no way he's not like texting his buddies, you know? There's manipulation everywhere. I don't think about that. I mean, to me, yeah, there's manipulation for sure. It sucks, but it's life. It's not going to help me. Uh, but what is going to help me is trading, making money, you know, trying to pick my spots carefully. So I just focus on the things that I have some level of control over. That's what I've learned. I used to, you know, not like the market, you know, the people who manipulate these markets and all the insider trading and all that kind of stuff. It used to bother me, but with time and experience, it doesn't really bother me anymore. Yeah, thanks, Adam. Well, you know, it comes from getting older, right? Like when I was in my 20s, like I think you are now, I didn't have that attitude. I was a lot more, you know, intense about it. Yeah, I just trade on what I see, Ben, just using my indicators that I developed here over a very, very long period of time. So they work really well and I use them in the way that I use them and they give me good looks at the market. I get good probabilities. So it works for me. I mean, at the end of the day, too, the market makers, I mean, yeah, they can manipulate it, but I guess what I'm doing is VolPro Edge is mapping out price. So it really doesn't matter who is moving price in what magnitude in whatever direction. Like I'm mapping it, and so they can do whatever they want. You know, my map is telling me what I want to do. Does that make sense? I think that's a good way to explain it. Well, it's kind of hoping for a little bit more volatility because the reason I called the stream on impromptu like this was because, you know, we started to break out of this. I was watching this while I was doing some admin stuff for VolPro Edge. We started to break out of this range. I was like, oh, we might get, you know, some good action here. And then since we've been streaming, you know, we've just been stuck in this range. So, oh, but we've had a lot of good conversation. Um, I do day trading now, and I'll sometimes do, you know, overnight swing trades, but I don't hold, you know, of course I have an investment portfolio, but I don't consider that trading. You know, that's not something I'm actively, I mean, I'll get out of it, you know, like on a quarterly basis. If I see something, I use VolPro Edge for that. But no, like I make my income day trading, but you know, the algos I'm developing, they're going to soon be doing a lot of the monitoring of the market for me, so I can be surfing more and just let my knowledge work for me. So that's where I'm going with that, and that's going to be sweet. Oh yeah, yeah, especially for me, Adam. I mean, I just you reach a certain point where you got to start putting life first as well. You know, I've been working so hard for so long, and now I'm in a position where I don't have to work anymore. I want to surf more. I still want to work because to me, I love my work. I love my job. It's my passion. But I want to find more of that life balance and spend more time with my daughter, my other daughter, my new daughter that's on the way, my wife. I want to surf more. Um, because if you have success, what's the point if you still are just working all the time, you know? No, I don't really look at anything, Ben, except for, you know, Vol Pro Edge, which is what I have here on the screens. I mean, I got the daily value area high and low and the point of control here. Um, you know, this shouldn't even be here. This is just the value area high and low of these bars, but I don't even use it. I don't even know what's there. I'll use the footprint down here a little bit to tell me, you know, but first and foremost, I use what I developed because it's what I understand, it's what works for me. And then if I use the footprint or where we are with regard to the daily value area high and low or whatever, you know, I'll sometimes take those things into account. All right, so my kind of feeling now is that if we snap out of this range to the downside, I'd want to buy it for a push back up to these highs. And if I'm wrong, I'll lose a little bit and call it a day, and that's fine. And if I'm right, then that's cool. So let's see what happens. We've got 14,000 contracts traded here, right? So we have 6,000 contracts to be traded until this closes, which means we have a couple more of these 4,000. Well, this one's got to close, and then we'll have one more. So I'm kind of thinking if we can get like a move, a flush down here. Let's see if this holds. So we're challenging now. So this is the area where I'd be interested in longing, but I need to wait and see where this is going to close. I think if we close above that extension, I probably have to give it a shot for a quick buy. Only if we close above. And then if it breaks, I would just be out pretty quickly. I'd give myself like a 20-point stop or something like that. So this will close here in about 1,400 contracts. And I want to keep an eye on that because this is the area. These are my levels where there could be some support here for sure. Yeah, it could blow straight through there. I know that too. But it's an area where I'd be interested, definitely. So I'll let you know if I buy it, and then I'll let you know like if I cut it. So we still have about 1,000 left, but this should be a good buy here in my view. It's depending on where this closes. I mean, if it sucks way back up here and I miss it, then I miss it because I'm waiting for the close. And this is just kind of one of these days. If we can get a little close down here, I'll try and buy it, I think. You guys can do whatever you want, This is just me talking through what I'm seeing. Oh, we got the 340 algo coming on in 25 seconds. And then the other big algo's 350, and then a lot of rebalancing at 355. So I'd be interested in buying, right around there at 34.5, depending if this closes there. Still got a few hundred contracts left. The 340 algo will kick in. Guys, I normally don't trade power hour. Just want to do it because we didn't trade this morning because I was up trading late. So we got 60 contracts left. Okay, I'll buy that. And basically what I'm doing is that if it starts to break through that low, and I see it looking like it wants to go really down here, I'll just cut it. Whereas if it holds, it's a good risk reward because it could go all the way back up here. But it needs to react quickly. Like I want to see that I'm not the only idiot that wanted to buy here. So I'll get to you guys' comments in a sec. I'm just watching. And then if we start to get up to, 45 up in here, since I'm long from right in here, I'll just move the stop to break even and see if I get a free trade back to the upper end of the range. I'm not at even yet. That's a little too early. But now I really don't want it to sort of take out these lows or I'll just cut it. So far, I'd like to see it react a little bit better than this to the upside, to be honest. I'm still in for now. But if we start to break these DMLs, then I'm just going to cash it for a small loss. Okay, I'll close that. So I lost about 10 points on that trade. And for me, that's acceptable because I had a lot of support right here and right here and had a good pattern. And my target on this was the upper end of the range here. So if I'm looking to make, 60 points and I lose 10, 11 points, I'm okay with that because I can lose quite a few times and still make money. And look, that might have just been a flush to get people out. Probably power hour is not easy to trade. So if that's the case, that's fine too. It looks like it was, but that happens. I'm just trading on small size, guys, just to kind of show you my thought process, how I manage these trades. I don't normally trade power hour because of this kind of stuff. The liquidity's low, but it just gives you an idea of how I like to look at things. So I hope that makes sense. So we kind of flushed through these levels here, which is why I just, I'm the kind of trader where if I can see that I'm wrong, I bail more quickly. And yeah, it'll sometimes, I'll get out and then, yeah, it'll reverse and go and okay, well, I'm out. So that doesn't matter, right? But I find that for me, it really helps manage the losses and keep the majority of them much smaller than the winners, because if the winners are going to be much larger than the losses, and when there's really good volatility and I see that I'm right, I'll try to double up on my position early as soon as it starts to go my direction. So, you can really make your winners a lot bigger and a lot more valuable than your losses, then you're able to have a lot of small losses, right? And that's kind of what I like to do. I like to pick my areas very carefully and then just manage my risk carefully and then take advantage and capitalize when I'm right. And lately there just hasn't been much, especially during the New York mornings and the Nasdaq, that I like because I can't get a read on the daily direction, and I don't like to trade unless I really have a good sense of what the daily and the weekly charts are doing. And lately that's been, that's been more challenging to read for sure. Let's see. So Ben, 19,416, a lot of imbalance, the whole range. Yeah, 19,416. Wow, that's a long way away, right? All same patterns. You're gonna flush through, I think. Yeah, I mean, it could. It's definitely wacky, guys. It's definitely power hour. I never really trade power hour. I'm just here having a little fun with you guys. Especially, power hour earnings week like we have this. I think this is the biggest earnings week of the year, right? So I just kind of felt like I didn't have my car insurance appointment until 3 p.m. my time in Costa Rica. So I said, I got a couple of hours here to go live with you guys and go over some stuff. And I think every time I do this and every little bit I share with you guys, when I just start talking from my heart, it helps, So there's the close right there on the 20,000, and you can see it broke. It doesn't mean it's gonna flush, but I wouldn't buy it because it did break the levels, and I'm a stickler. If it breaks my levels, I don't want to be long. I want to be long when my levels are holding, right? Oh, thanks, Ben. I appreciate that, man. Thanks for being here. Thanks to all you guys for being here. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, you guys. And I think there's a link to the Discord. If you guys aren't in the Discord, I think it's below the video. I'm not sure. It should be there. Anyways, you can find it somewhere. And I will see you guys later when I do the end of day analysis. I'll probably do that a little bit later today, but no sweat. It'll be out probably by about 8 p.m. Eastern, something like that. But you guys will have all the information for tomorrow. And I'm not going to trade Asia tonight because I'm tired because I did it last night. So tomorrow morning we'll do New York, the Open together again. So that'll be cool. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Nice to have you here, man. And Adam, I'm hopping off and get some dinner, guys. Yeah, cheers. All right, you guys. Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning for New York. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Thanks for the hearts. I appreciate it. Thanks, Ralph. See you guys.